Oklahoma State just signed, in my opinion, the nation's best quarterback out of the portal, and they gave you 7 million reasons to get real excited.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I'm going to be your host here on Locked On Oklahoma State, standing in for the great Cody Stovall as he deals with some pesky medical BS right now. Our thoughts and best wishes go out to you, man. Wish you could be here, but we know it's just a drop in the bucket, and you'll be back leading the charge here at the golden, or what is it? What did you call this earlier? The orange and black attack. I don't know where gold came from. So thank you so much, Cody, for letting me step in for you, man. It's been great. Hopefully everything goes well and according to plan, and you get back in time to talk about all these great acquisitions you guys are about to mount up and get, because it looks really good for you guys right now. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Mountaineer Paul. I host Locked On West Virginia, but I am also a big Cody Stovall guy, and I'm also a Big 12 guy. So it's not hard for me to step into the shoes here and root for the Oklahoma State Cowboys at all. Have no personal issues with Oklahoma State. It's not like you're asking me to come host the Pitt show or another show like Virginia Tech or something crazy like that for me. So this is easy for me to do. On this episode, so we're going to be talking about, I have some final thoughts on some of the other pieces you guys may be going after. I've done a lot of research today. I've spent a few hours on this trying to get myself, familiarize myself with the situation better so that I can even be 10% of what Cody would be in the situation in this seat. And then we're going to go down that road. And also we have to talk about the expectations in Stillwater, USA right now, because they've changed. The fact that you're able to do this and just throw $7 million, like where the hell did that come from? So the expectations have absolutely changed. But how have they changed? What does that look like for the Cowboys going forward? And we start where we start. Drew Mestemaker is incoming. I think we all knew the chances were there. They were looking pretty good from the get-go. Most of the time, a quarterback wants to follow their former coach through their relationship, system, etc. But there are times where money changes things. And I think Oklahoma State realized real quick, if we don't match what everybody and possibly exceed what everybody else is willing to do for a quarterback of this caliber, they'd be ready to lose him. So, this obviously changes the game for the Cowboys going forward. In my personal opinion, not only does Mestemaker have the most upside, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show, I believed this. I wanted West Virginia to go after this elite quarterback. I think he's had some. I think personally he has the most arm talent of anybody in the class. You can name anybody you want. I think he does, and he's also as a straight line runner, as fast almost as any other quarterback you're going to find in this class, outside of a couple guys. So you get the best of both worlds. A dual threat quarterback that can really go. 6'2", 210 pounds. Let me get this ticker turned on for you guys. 6'2", 210 pounds, prototypical Big 12 quarterback. Obviously, 4,379 yards and 34 touchdowns as the nation's leading passer as a redshirt freshman. That's a huge caveat to that. He did it as a redshirt freshman. This isn't a junior. You're getting a kid who's still growing and figuring this thing out in a spread tempo attack with Eric Morris and company. So this is probably not flash in the pan group of 5 production. This is top of the country output. We talked about the arm talent. He can drive to the ball outside the numbers very easily. He's also comfortable throwing deep, intermediate, and layered routes. If you watch on tape, it doesn't matter who the competition is against. He layers it in there, and he uses incredible touch and velocity. Touch combo is really what he does well, especially when you talk about on combo plays where he's really extremely well. And they already have Big 12 spacing as an offense, and I think that they're going to bring that to the table to Stillwater. Another thing that he does well is, for a redshirt freshman, he's got very good to elite processing and timing. If you look at some of the things he did this year under duress, especially quick decision maker in the RPO and tempo concepts. And when they marry, it's a really dangerous combination. He also understands leverages pre-snap, right? Where are my safeties? What are they doing? And he usually makes really good pre-snap reads. Eric Morris gave him a lot of leeway as a redshirt freshman. It takes a special kind of kid as a redshirt freshman to have this kind of knowledge of the game this early in his career. And then also he gets the ball out on time and in rhythm, which is very critical for an Eric Morris offense. And you guys know that being a Gundy fan base for so long, how these type of offenses work. I'm not telling you anything you don't know or educating you on things that you don't understand. He's already at this point in time, I think, developed a system mastery. He's already fluent in the Eric Morris playbook. So as he comes in, there's no learning curve or tech terminology to have to learn. There's no tempo to have to learn, which allows Oklahoma State to install the offense immediately and not gradually. And you can let all the other pieces around him develop around Drew Mestemaker, depending on who you bring in from North Texas along with him. He didn't look like a redshirt freshman last year, statistically or on film. I think he's comfortable throwing while moving too. It's just another thing I like about his game. You can move the pocket. You can do different things with him. He's the kind of player that, you can tailor an offense around him, whether that be for a specific matchup or for the long haul of a season and what roster pieces you have. And he just gives you such great flexibility. You could literally take this Drew Mestemaker and you could run Rich Rodriguez's offense, which is a spread, up-tempo, running attack based off RPO, where the quarterback run game is involved way more than most other teams. And Drew Mestemaker would be able to do that at an elite level, given that his body would handle and be able to, to handle that. Or you could put him in a system like this, where it's spread, it's up tempo, and it's a lot of quick passing. It's a lot of double moves. It's a lot of screens. The typical spread attack. Or you could put him under center and give him 3, 5, 7-step drops, and I think he would achieve that as well. So he is truly the kind of quarterback in Stillwater that you don't really have to worry about the pieces you bring in. You can just adapt him to whatever that ends up being, right? Hopefully it's similar to what was at North Texas this past year, but I don't think that it has to be that. Now, areas we need to monitor for this pickup, because we have to at least have some balance here, right? What experience does he have versus elite defense, right? Big 12 fronts are going to be faster, more complex than AAC looks. Trust me, we had a guy come in last year from the AAC. Now, it was on defense, and it's not the same, definitely not an apples-to-apples comparison. But Jamori Robinson was Defensive Player of the Year last year at where he came from, and it was the American Conference. So, we thought we had a pretty good pass rusher in him at West Virginia until he didn't even get one sack, not even one. So, there and of course there are exceptions to everything. It could have just been who knows what was going on in his life. It could have, he had to miss the first 3 games. Like, there were other things going on there. I'm just saying it's a step up. I don't think people realize in the Big 12, it's proven itself in bowl games right now that the Big 12 is much tougher as a league. I think people are finding that out, which is a good thing. And I think, so the step up is going to matter personally, but I do think Mestemaker will eventually overcome that. He took very few clean hits at North Texas. He's going to take, how's this pocket tough is going to be at Oklahoma State, because you guys are spending $7 million on this kid. How much more do you have to spend on the rest of the roster? Can you protect him? How much of that mobility is he going to have to use? And ball security under pressure, right? How is he going to avoid turnovers if the protection breaks down and maybe you can't afford an elite offensive line the very first year for him? None of these are deal breakers. They're normal step-up concerns, and they're not flaws, but they are things that we have to consider when looking at this situation with Drew Mestemaker. All right, let's go to break really quick. Coming back, we're going to look at the expectations here, because The fact that you guys can spend $7 million on a quarterback tells us a lot of things. We don't know all the answers yet, or at least I don't, but we're going to figure them out. We'll talk about them next. And of course, on this one, we're talking about our friends over at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, usually they got $5 that's going to make you holla. But right now for Fridays, they already feel different during basketball season. And FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where the special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have overcome appointment viewing only with the NBA Happy Hour. It's a kind of a clever way to put that. Opening the FanDuel app during happy hour always brings something new to the table, whether that's boosts, bonuses, or surprises. The timing being perfect for you, right? Because right before games, right before the weekend starts, it adds that extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, where a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And, of course, in segment 2, I like to crack a do to get this dry. I suffer from gab too much. So I always have to have something around to get that dry mouth. So I've always turned it into on Locked On West Virginia. I always say segment 2, let's crack a do. Some people make fun of me for it. I just lean into it. Somebody once told me that's very West Virginian of you, and I said that's a compliment. I'll take that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Listen, anything for Cody. When I tell you guys that Cody is one of the most genuine guys, he is. I don't have to tell you that. I mean, he's grown this channel to where it is. I'm just here as a placeholder to make sure that he gets, as representatives of Locked On, we have to get our shows in. We have to make sure we're doing our thing, and we don't want Cody to not be able to do that, right? So it's just all about supporting each other in times of need, and Cody needs that right now. So, but thank you guys so much for the compliments, and I appreciate it. But let's dive into the next part here. The expectations in Stillwater. Obviously, I don't know what people thought was going to happen this year as far as the expectations. Obviously, we knew Mike Gundy never met a donor that he liked, and I think Cody once told me that he would rather get punched in the throat than talk to a donor. And so it kind of makes you wonder over the course of years here, now that NIL has been alive, what could Oklahoma State have been had they leaned into NIL a bit more and not been so resistant to it due to the Gundy situation? I find it interesting. I do. And I wonder, now that you guys have kind of opened back up to this, and Eric Morris is like full-fledged, like $7 million on a quarterback opened up. What's that going to do? And look, it's like anything else. Once you get a little taste of it, it can be addicting, because right now Stillwater is in every, Stillwater and Oklahoma State is in every headline around America right now. People are realizing when they're around the Big 12, did they just do what Duke did last year? And that's another thing I was going to make a comparison to is the last $7 million quarterback I saw was Darian Mensah. Very similarly talented quarterbacks, by the way. And you mean to tell me that Oklahoma State did it, not Texas Tech, who a lot of people thought may get Mestemaker first, and not BYU, who has been proven to have an elite NIL capacity. No, it's Oklahoma State. What? But they've gotten literally no NIL since where did this come from? And you know what? Sometimes it just takes a changing of the guard. So what does that do for expectations for this program going forward? 2 years is the report, $7 million. It's an agreement in principle, so it's not official yet. But I'll tell you what it signals to me as somebody from the outside looking into the situation. I think it means Oklahoma State is no longer playing conservatively in NIL. That much I can tell you. This is not a conservative contract. This is not something that, you're just trying to give the least and still get your guy. No, you paid him handsomely to come be your guy. This is the opposite, the antithesis. Any other thing you want to throw in there that means this ain't how Gundy was doing stuff. This is literally an embracing of the times. This is Lane Kiffin. This is not Mike Gundy. So Oklahoma State is willing to pay not market value. They're paying above market value for elite quarterback play, which I don't know. I guess for an elite quarterback, 3.5 is probably market value. So the 7 makes me think, but it's 2 years. So 3.5 is about market value for an elite quarterback. Not for your average starter, not for a very good quarterback, not for somebody you can, $1 million. There are some really good $1 million quarterbacks out there this year. They just don't have any stats. Michael Hawkins at Oklahoma, is a great example, right? Deuce Knight at Auburn. There are some people that are going to pay a lot of money for those guys. They have nowhere close to Drew Mestemaker's stat line. So, there's give and take with it. Could Deuce Knight be the best quarterback in the country next year? I wouldn't be shocked. Like, he's that good, but we don't know. Maybe he'll fall apart. Drew Mestemaker, you don't have to worry about that. You've already seen him against coverage. You've already seen him against really good defenses. You've already seen him have to win games by himself. And I'll mend that arm. I mean, it's a slingshot of an arm. It really, truly is. It's also a philosophy that some people have taken on. Some people believe that you build it through your defense, like Texas Tech did this year, the defensive line. Then you go out and get a free roaming linebacker like Jacob Rodriguez that can peanut punch that thing out of there and get you a bunch of turnovers, along with an opportunistic secondary. And then you invest in a pretty good offensive line. You already had your quarterback in tow. You got a big physical running back for Texas Tech. And big receivers, right? That's what they did. And so you're looking at it like, so this is maybe I don't know. We haven't seen what Oklahoma State's going to do yet. Obviously, you get to get your quarterback. But is this a quarterback first rebuild? I'm curious, because this is a program that's historically been quarterback driven. Brandon Whedon, Sanders, Rudolph, right? This is a return to identity for you guys. You guys have been in quarterback purgatory for a couple of years now. Sorry, Alan Bowman. But that's not what I think of when I think of the prototypical Oklahoma State quarterback. I don't think of Alan Bowman. I do not. And I'm sure some of you guys don't. Not to be any Alan Bowman slander up in here, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, I do think that this is something that you guys can. It's fun to speculate, right? So let's speculate a little bit. I think it does stabilize the roster. Obviously, the portal exits hurt less when the quarterback spot is elite. It's like you can play the yeah but game when you do that. Like, yeah, we lost so and so. We lost Grant Seagren. We'd love to have kept him, but we got Drew Mestemaker, right? Like, it's great. And he's a recruiting magnet, right? Wide receivers and offensive linemen want to play with the proven passer. Offensive linemen want to play with the guy that's got an elite tossing motion. He gets it out extremely quick, so you're never going to be stuck on an island while guys running around like Baker Mayfield trying to figure this thing out. Like, it's going to be different with Mestemaker. He's going to be set hut and out, set hut and out. And every now and again, he might pump fake it and throw it. So you're lucky there. And then the thing is he's so advanced that if a corner blitz does come, that's fine. He's going to outrun him most of the time. So, it's a pretty big deal. Guys want to play with him. Wide receivers, obviously, it speaks for itself. Here's another thing it does for you guys. It raises your floor dramatically. Oklahoma State goes from rebuild year to, I think, bowl game. I don't want to say you're going to win 10 games. We got to see what happens here. But why can't you be a bowl game minimum team? with an elite quarterback. West Virginia didn't have any semblance of that last year. We had nowhere near an elite quarterback. We have a guy coming back next year that we feel really good about as a true freshman, but he didn't play anywhere near Mestemaker's level last year. I think maybe he could be what Mestemaker was, maybe not as good, but some semblance of what he was at North Texas this past year coming into his second year, but nowhere near. So you guys are starting ahead of a lot of first-year teams because of the North Texas connection. This North Texas team is the closest thing to the James Madison team that we've seen since Signetti. Gosh, that's hard to say in consecutive. Since Signetti went from James Madison to Indiana, and you're going to get that comparison. But when you look up and down this North Texas roster, there is a lot of guys that are Power 4 guys. So it's not like Jack State. Last year we thought last year with West Virginia that if Rich Rod can get the Jack State guys, they won a conference title. We thought, well, if they can get the Jack State guys, we can do the Indiana thing. We play these mental gymnastics with ourselves as fans. But Jack State in the Sun Belt is different than the American. It's a step up. The American's a step up. It's just flat out truth. So, some of the guys we got turned out not to pan out. Some of them weren't good in coverage in the Big 12. Like, I think offensive players at that level can pan out. Defensive players are more difficult because they're usually undersized. So, and a lot of the guys we brought in from there was defensive players, corners, defensive backs, safeties, no good. The ones we had on offense did work out. So, you just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's tough, man. I do think that at the end of the day, the floor has raised dramatically, and you guys should be able to go to a bowl game next year. Obviously, the obvious one is scheme continuity. You don't have to waste a year teaching the new system to your quarterback and all that. And hopefully most of your other offense should be able to figure it out as well. So this is not a bridge quarterback. This is the guy, right? You don't have to worry about just bridging to the next year. You're literally setting expectations going forward. After the break, we're going to look at short, midterm, and long-term for a second before we go in the episode. So stick around, guys. We'll talk a little bit more about this right after the break. And, of course, this episode of Locked On Oklahoma State is going to be brought to you by our friends at GameTime. And right now with GameTime, if you didn't know, now you know. There's nothing like the college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all, the energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, well, that used to be part of the frustration with long queues, logins, and pricing jumping at checkout. That's why GameTime gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Look, I love being able to see views from my seat before buying. It lets me know exactly where I'm going to be getting a seat and what I'm paying for. But there are the zone deals too. They stand out because you can pick a section and GameTime picks your seats for you and you save even more. So see, college football tickets can start as low as $25, which makes it pretty easy to plan a game day trip. So knowing prices include all fees up front, pretty good thing, right? Makes the whole process stress-free. You too can take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase with the terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. Download the GameTime app today. You can find out the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, it's segment 3. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much for the compliments and everything. Cody in the chat says, and I'm just going to go ahead and bank on what Cody says. Hearing we are planning on spending $21 million on the roster this year. That's not elite, right? But it's above middle of the pack. So you're probably top 25 if that's what the money is. So that's about where West Virginia is too. So it'll be interesting. Obviously it's more than what we had last year. So you guys can fill a lot of holes, but you're not going to be able to fill them all, right? Let me just set your expectations up a little bit as a West Virginia guy. depending on how many new pieces you're going to have to bring in. We brought in 81 last year. So I'm assuming you guys are going to be at a similar level. I would imagine somewhere between 65 and 80, probably, with everything you're losing. It's just really hard to win with that. And but I do think listen, we lost our first, second, third, fourth, and fifth string quarterback, or got down to our fifth string. We lost our first, second, third, fourth, and got down to our fifth string running back early in the season last year. And we still beat a ranked team. We beat Pitt, and we won 4 games. And we were right there. We shoot with one possession game with a couple games. We very well could have won 6 or 7 games last year. So I do think you guys can do that. But, it's going to take a special kind of year for you guys to get in that Big 12 conversation. I'll be interested to see how the rest of this plays out, how you spend your other 21. We'll go with it as it goes. I'm going to be I don't know how long I'll be doing this, but I will be very objective and honest with you guys. Obviously, this is smash through the roof success, $7 million. I'm okay with it personally because you're only paying 3.5 a year. And the thing is companies are going to want to invest in Drew Mestemaker because by game 6 of this year, he's going to be in the Heisman conversation probably. Based on sheer numbers of the Eric Morris offense and his marketability. He's got that great look. I mean, he's got a lot going for him. He's and his personality too. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Drew Mestemaker. And I do think that you guys, something that a lot of people don't consider is, okay, so you're spending $7 million on Mestemaker, but how much money is he going to make you as a product, right? And I hate to say that because it makes him sound like he's not a person. I don't mean that. I'm not trying to objectify him necessarily, but when you have an elite quarterback, that's popular. Like let's use the RG3 comparison. Where was Baylor before RG3 and after RG3? It's not comparable. It's not. He literally changed their entire existence. Where was Virginia Tech pre and post Mike Vick? Pretty dang good, right? And where was West Virginia pre and post Pat White? Like, it's not close. When you have an elite quarterback that's visible to the outside of the country, it brings so much extra into your program that you really can't account for. And I would imagine that he's going to pay for himself over the course of time. That's why I'm okay with paying for more for an elite quarterback, because there are things that aren't tangible that you can't really quantify with an elite quarterback that you can other positions. Just my take on it. All right. So obviously, guys, short and midterm, I think bowl eligibility becomes the baseline. The offensive identity, I think, is going to snap right back into place. You go back, 3 years now to that Ollie Gordon year. Once you get into this year, 3 years, or maybe it's 2 years. It's 3 years or 2 years. So that's going to snap back into place. Oklahoma State's going to become dangerous week to week again because you've got an elite quarterback. Period, point blank, stop. It's just the facts of it. Nobody wants to see Mestemaker on the schedule. I don't. In the midterm, I think you can say, legit Big 12 title contention in the midterm. We're talking, not this year, but next year. The NIL credibility should snowball, hopefully in a good way, but it could go the other direction if this don't work out. And then, Oklahoma State could reenter the national title conversation, or the national conversation, not national title conversation, the national conversation offensively. So I think your offense is going to be talked about nationally again, like it used to be with Gundy, right? Like it was everybody talked about the Gundy offense every week. It was just national. It was just natural to bring that up when talking about offense in the country. I think that's going to come back. So I think overall this move says Oklahoma State expects to win now, not eventually, and everybody else needs to be okay with that. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So, obviously there's a lot of other things that need to happen for this to work. Um, I'll go down the list. You've already got your highest priority in your quarterback, Drew Mestemaker, star quarterback. Caleb Hawkins, the running back you need to get, right? Obviously, the nation's leading freshman scoring threat and also an All-American. He's also an Oklahoma native from Shawnee, from what my research said. So that increases the likelihood of staying in state. He's also one of the best running backs in the country. Wyatt Young, breakout, 1,200 yards, All-American. I mean, obviously, he adds speed and production to the receiving core. That's a logical Oklahoma State target as well. And it reminds you of all the Oklahoma State greats from the past. You guys have had plenty of these guys. On the other side of the ball, obviously, Weslowski, leading tackler, most valuable defensive playmaker. I think it could help bolster your linebacking corps. He's a bit undersized, but, I personally think that those guys are in kind of in vogue right now. When you look at Jacob Rodriguez and those type of linebackers, Kyle Lewis at Pitt is another one. Like those kind of undersized backers are in play right now because a lot of guys are playing these 3-5 stack defenses where you're playing with an extra linebacker at the nickel spot that can cover. So it's kind of like you can get away with a lot now on defense with that stuff. Ethan Day on the defensive line. He was really solid, had really good production, tackles for loss and sacks for them. So you could bolster your depth on the defensive front, be a good depth builder, in my opinion. And Quentin Hammonds as well. Really young safety, but really good tackling and coverage contributions, good PFF grades too. He could be useful in a defensive backfield overhaul. You're not going to get starter after starter after starter, even with $21 million. Think about this, guys. Let's say you have to get 60 players and you've got $21 million. That's not great. You're going to be able to spend, and you've already spent 7. Now, I don't know if that 7 counts towards the 21. If it does, that means you've got 14 to spend on 50 to 60 guys. I don't know how many you need. I'll find out. But, I guess I'm obviously still researching everything, but, even if it's 50, I'm not trying to put a Debbie Downer on it. I'm just keeping it realistic. You're going to have to be really creative with some of your pickups from here on out. The smart thing to do would be is get as many North Texas guys as you can, even if they're not elite players, because there's going to be a culture and system continuity that comes with them that's worth more than are they an elite Big 12 starter or really good Big 12 starter or not. So just consider that. I would get as many as I could that you can validate being on this level. I mean, obviously you don't want to reach, but I mean, if they're I could see it maybe, then bring them up, because you're going to spend less and you're going to, all those extra intangibles I just talked about come with them. So yeah, that's just my thing. Obviously a couple other guys are Braden Nelson and Johnny Dixon. Braden Nelson's a really young offensive tackle. I've already studied his tape. He's got a ton of starting experience. Johnny Dixon is a really strong run blocking guard. They can obviously help anchor your offensive line depth as well. And then if you want to talk about some less likely players that you may bring in, it's like Mackenzie McGill, Miles Coleman, Terrence Lewis, guys like that. But overall, like the portal window is open from the 2nd to the 16th. So the list is going to change as we go along, and hopefully we can follow along with whatever, trends are happening along Oklahoma State's lines, whether that's positional needs, familiar, or whether that's North Texas stuff, being familiar with the coach and the system, and et cetera. But hopefully Mestemaker, Hawkins, and Young are Cowboys. I mean, you guys deserve that. I think it would be great for the offense. And if you want to look at it in chunks like that, you can. It would help. Let's get 3 guys that can change the offense and 3 guys that change the defense. Then you can fill in around them, right? Go get Mestemaker, Hawkins, Uh, I don't know. I mean, I do think Young is important, but I mean, at least you got to get Mestemaker and Hawkins, and I think Young too. And then you can think you've got one guy at every level on the offense, and then go over on the defensive side, you should be okay. All right, guys, thanks for joining in, man. This has been fun. My first episode of Locked On Oklahoma State. Hopefully, I did Cody some justice. I could never fill his shoes, but I'm trying. Make sure you check me out on Locked On West Virginia. I'm there every single day. I record 7 days a week, so I don't know what Cody's recording schedule was, but I'm going to try to maintain that here. That's just how I am. I become obsessed with things. So if I do that, hopefully you guys will watch. I won't be able to do 2 a day here, I don't think, but I do 2 a day on West Virginia. So worst case scenario, I'll do 4 or 5 a week here. And so you guys will have content while Cody's out rehabbing and everything. So he should have a strong base of you guys still watching whenever he gets back. Hopefully I don't run everybody off. But thank you guys so much for joining in. And like I said, like the video before you leave. Subscribe if you're new around here. And don't forget to share the video out too. That always helps. Before you go, we got a couple things to ask you about. While Cody's gone, I think it would be a great idea to get something started for him. And that is something that Locked On has rolled out just recently. It's called the Everydayer Club. If you're still watching right now, then you're probably a big-time Cody Stovall fan, a big-time Oklahoma State fan, and a big fan of Locked On Oklahoma State. So the Everydayers Club is something that's really cool. It's if you never miss an episode, you might as well make it official because you can join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get rid of ad-free audio. You can have ad-free audio. And you also get access to a members-only Discord. So, and more, by the way, which is all built for our most loyal fans. I'm putting the link to that in the chat. I would highly recommend checking it out. There we go. It's in the chat now. And make sure you do it. Let's get a bunch of people in there for Cody when he comes back, and he'll have a cool, and then you guys can get all the intel he knows about in there. So I got to run. I'm over. I'm at 37 minutes. We are only supposed to do around 30, so I probably need to run. Make sure you check out Locked On Big 12, and we will see you on the next one here on Locked On Oklahoma State, where we talk about your team every single day. Until then, joining in for Mr. Cody Stovall, my name is Mountaineer Paul. I'm out of here.